All right, thank you guys for joining us for the registration night. We're going to go over just a little bit about the registration, also talk about a couple special programs that we're going to be running that especially juniors can sign up for, and then there's a special program for sophomores as well. So we'll go through all that. You guys could ask questions in the chat, which I'll check at the end, or you feel free to unmute and ask questions throughout the presentation. So just sort of an agenda of what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the counselors and how do you know who is my counselor for the students. We'll talk about some pathways, graduation requirements, and then the registration timeline for the students, and then the course, student course selection form. So we'll go through all of those. And then once again, we'll have questions time at the end. So, all right. So if you're wondering like who the counselors would be, it all goes based on the student's last name. So we have students A through G, we'll have Mr. Jerry. Students whose last names begin with H through O will have Miss Jellison, and then students whose last name is P through Z will have Miss Young. And so if you need to contact a counselor, that's how you'll know which one to contact. So when you look at exploring the career pathways in 9th grade, in English 1 and English 1 honor, students actually do a project where they talk about pathways that might interest them. Hopefully they may have shared them with you, but they'll pick some pathway. They'll research what is the education that's needed for that pathway. They'll figure out what are the salaries for those jobs in that pathway. And they also figure out, where can you work with them and what are the working conditions? Some students we find that they realize like a lot of them may want to do hospitality, but then realize they have to work weekends and evenings, and okay, maybe that's not quite the job for me. Or, maybe they have picked like career pathway choice of marine biologist and realize that there are no jobs maybe in the Midwest. If you want to do that, you may have to move out to East Coast or West Coast. So we like to have them do that deep exploration, also figure out what are the classes you need to take in high school, what is your post-secondary plan in college. So they have an idea, at least, they explored one area. Our goal is when students leave Ridgewood High School, they at least have an idea and a pathway that they like to pursue when they leave. It may change once they get more into it, but we want them to have that. That project is also done sophomore year, a little bit different scale. But once again, we're focusing on helping kids pick a pathway and then using those pathways to pick their elective courses so they get those experiences in high school. We don't want them going off to college without taking, for example, if they're interested in business, if they wait till college to take a business class and realize they don't like it, now they're wasting time and money. So we talked a little about that, how they also do this in English 2 and English 2 honors. And they can, once again, use that to pick their electives and their courses. So at Ridgewood, we try to break it up into 2 pathways that we offer students. There's the arts and science, and then there's business and technology. So to sort of help students maybe pick one of those. Well, we'll notice that sometimes, like for example, if some student picks business and technology, we notice there's a lot of prongs underneath that, and they may switch from one to another. But a lot of times you don't have somebody that's like interested in like public and human services, and then all of a sudden they switch into like manufacturing, technology, and trades. Normally students will pick some different things within each of our pathways, but we just want a way to break it up. And there's no reason why, once again, students can pick and say, I want to do the arts and science pathway, and then that could change and they could switch it up from the junior or senior year. But we just want to give students a little bit more guidance as they select their courses. So on the right of this, you'll sort of see what a sophomore registration guide looks like. So the students will get this piece of paper, and this here lists all the courses they can register as going to be a sophomore. All right, the registration form, I'll show you that for the juniors in a little bit, so they're different. But these are the courses that they can select from. There's other courses that we offer at Ridgewood, but they're not offered for sophomores. So like you'll notice, they have the English 2s, on there. There's certain social studies classes they can take as well. They'll take like US, you'll see they have AP Government, AP Geography, but what they'll do is they'll actually take history junior year. So that would actually be on the next form I show you for junior registration. So those are all the courses they can select, and you also see the color code for like when you're looking at the arts and science compared to the business and technology courses. Here's the junior registration form. So these are the classes junior, going to be juniors can select. So they can select any of these for their electives, and then you'll also see like the core classes, what they can sign up for as well. These forms you can find on the website under student services as well. So if you're like, oh, I want to look a little bit more deeper at those, at the end, I'll sort of show you where you can navigate the website to find this information. So the requirements for graduation. So as you move along, we got to make sure we're meeting all these graduation requirements. And I want to make sure also that you know the difference between high school graduation requirements compared to college requirements for certain schools. So for us, graduation requirements is, and this is, some of these are state requirements and some are Ridgewood, like 4 years of English. They have to have 2 years of social science, which AP Government or US History has to be one of them. And then along with some sort of civics class. So civics is a semester-long course, whereas our American history is actually a year-long course. They have to have 3 science classes. Typically, students will take, all our students freshman year take Project Lead the Way, then they could take like an integrated science 2, they can take honors chem, honors bio, and then we also have integrated science 3, so they can select those. And a lot of it too is depending on what pathway they're going on. 3 math classes, and then they have to have 2 either language, business, vocational, or computer science courses. They have to have 1 fine arts credit, either art or music, and they have to have 4 PE credits. 3.5 will be in physical education, the other half will be in health. And then finally, they have 3 electives, and those are classes they'll choose. So those are the classes they have to take in order to graduate, and they'll need to have 23 credits total to graduate. So most of the time they take 6 a year. That senior year, some elect only take 5 because they don't, they only need 5 left. Besides classes that they must take and pass, there's also some non-graduate credit requirements. In order for us to issue a diploma, students have to pass some sort of consumer education. Those sometimes are embedded into courses, but if they don't take a course that has the consumer education embedded in it, they can take the consumer education proficiency tests. So we have a lot of students that do that as well. They must all take the SAT exam. So most of them take that junior year. If you don't take a junior year, you'll have to take a senior year in order to graduate. And then the final part is the FAFSA form, which they'll do senior year. It's just a requirement that Illinois State Board of Ed has put on us. So here's like an overview of a possible 4-year plan. It's not, so you can sort of see the 4 years of English. They'll have some sort of social studies class embedded in there. You can see the science classes. They have to take 3 science classes. They could be different than these. The math classes, they're required to take 3, but once again, you want to look at the colleges you're going to. Some colleges require 4. The PE, and then the electives. If you want, once again, senior year, you can only take 5. You don't have to take that 6th class. And then if you look at the other years, well, you have to take 6 classes. Some students may select to not have a study hall and take a 7th class. So here's a 10th grade sort of sample schedule. So if they met all their 9th grade credit requirements, they can move on and take English 2 or English 2 honors, integrated science 2. The other science class students will take is honors chem, typically at that age. And then they can take either integrated math 2, or some other students take honors integrated math 3. They'll have to take a PE, and then they can take an optional social studies or some other electives. So the main core classes are pretty, if you look at these top ones, they sort of all have to take a core class, and then they have a couple options really two options for their electives. If you move in 11th grade, most of them will take American Experiences, which is both English and history. They'll then move on to actually Integrated Science 3, or some will take Honors Bio. There's also an option if you took Honors Chem, you could take AP Chem that year. They'll either take Honor Integrated Math 3 then, or most of them will take Honors Pre-Calc would be the honors track, and then they have to take the PE, and the Fine Arts as well. So just a sample. Now, when will they choose those classes? So the rising sophomores, so going to be sophomores next year, they will be signed up for a flex time, where they'll sign up for classes on the 9th and 10th. Going to be juniors, they're actually going to be signing up for their classes on the 4th and 5th. Now, it's not like they sign up for the classes and it's set. The counselors will sort of take them through to make sure that everybody signs up for classes, but they have until January 27th to make any changes. After the 27th, then it's set in stone, and we use that data to create the schedule. So as a parent, you can actually go and have them pull up, and you can see what they've chosen. You can help them before they even start the process and go through those sheets with, like I said, I'll share what those sheets are and say, here's the classes you want to take. So you guys can be involved in the process as well. Also, feel free to contact the counselors if you have questions based on last name. But I really feel it's good to have the parents get involved in this and look at, maybe not what is the easiest path through high school, but what's the best path to prepare you for whatever they want to do after high school. Sometimes students are looking 1 year ahead and not 3 to 4 years ahead. And I think that's where the parents can really help out in that situation. All right, so once again, after the January 27th, though, that's when it's locked up, and you can no longer change your course selections, because we'll then use that data to create next year's schedule. Okay, and just to reemphasize, while they're signing up on those days, okay, they can make changes from now and then. If you're sort of wondering, like, how do they know what class is right for them? For the math and English, the teachers provide our counselors and our students with recommendations. Here's the math class we recommend you take next year. Here's the English class we recommend you take. 95% of the time, probably even higher, the students select the classes recommended, but there are times when they will decide to take something different. There's also times when teachers will recommend maybe two options. For example, with freshmen, they may say, we recommend them take geometry construction or integrated math 2. So then the student would then pick which one do they select out of those two. So that's like the core class. The same thing with the science. Sometimes they'll be rec for the honor science or just integrated science as well. Okay. So after they sort of map out the courses for the next year, they'll then they'll enter those courses into Skyward. So in Skyward, they'll sort of have down, here are the courses that they're signing up for next year. And once again, those are the dates they're going to do that in Skyward. So we sort of set aside a flex time to make sure all students know how to enter in Skyward. The other thing we ask is, while they'll select either the 6 classes they want to take next year, we always ask them to put in alternatives. Sometimes the class they select may not have enough students to run, or because of their schedule, a class may only run a certain period and they're already signed up for a class that period doesn't run any time. So it's important that they take alternatives. We do have students that don't pick alternative classes, and then we have to just sign them up for what we, for what's open. So, so it's really important that they pick alternatives, at least one alternative class for each of them. Oops. So a couple of things we want to make sure all our parents know about is some special programs that we have here. So the first one is we have our new cyber program that's running in 23-24 school year. It's a 3-year sequence. So especially those that are freshmen now and going to be sophomores, we really recommend, if they have any interest at all, they don't have to have any experience, even though our students all take intro to computer programming. But through this pathway of taking 3 courses, they're going to earn their Security Plus credential. And that Security Plus credential will pretty much qualifies them to make between $70,000 and $80,000 right out of high school. We had a guest speaker come talk to the students and some parents the other day, and he said, If anybody has that credential, he'd have to offer them $78,000, and he still can't hire enough people for that. The nice thing about this pathway too is students can choose to go to college, but they can work with a company part-time and ask the company to pay for their college. Because once again, these companies are so in need of these workers that they're willing to take them on and pay for their schooling. So that is, if you're gonna be a junior, you can still sign up for that, but you would not probably be able to finish the 3-year sequence. But for sophomores, really recommend this program. The other thing the Illinois State Board of Ed is really pushing is the career pathway endorsements. It used to be they put out stuff like, here's what you need to be considered to be a scholar student. Now the one thing they're really pushing is the career pathway endorsements. So they believe that career pathway endorsement is going to prepare students for whatever their post-secondary plan is for jobs and for going to 4-year, 2-year universities. So that's the new push. And because of that, they have offered this program where if students complete a career pathway endorsement, they automatically get a stamp on their diploma. So this stamp is shown to all the colleges. It can also be shown to future employers that they have completed a sequence of courses. Well, there's multiple components to earning this career pathway endorsement. The main things are, and that's what you'll see here, is they must take 2 dual credit courses. So there must be 2 college courses. And if you look at this, I'll scroll back and forth. We have 2 pages. We have 18 different pathways laid out that students can get this endorsement in. Some of them, we offer the dual credit courses at Ridgewood. Some of them they would go to Triton to take. And then there's even one pathway where we have a partnership with Northeastern. And that's where you can see that's listed here. What are the dual credit courses they need to take? So that's the first thing, is students need to take 2 dual credit courses, getting them 6 credit hours. Another part is they have to have 60 work-based learning hours. That's a little bit more difficult for us to provide the students, but we are making a lot of partnerships with businesses. And then we've also embedded some of that into courses. For example, if you look at the entrepreneur and business management administration, in Algebra 2 and business, the 2nd semester, the work-based learning is built into the course. The students design shirts, or most of them design shirts or sweatshirts. They advertise them, they sell them 2nd semester. So they're really entrepreneurs. And so that is considered work-based learning. We also, in our construction pathway, in geometry construction, the students build a model house that is actually sold and used. So therefore, because of that, that is work-based learning hours. So some of our courses have it built in. Other ones, if you look at our nursing program, we have a partnership with Norwich Garden, where the students could take the dual credit courses, and then they actually get paid internships at Norwich Garden. And they would make, I think they make $16, $17 an hour. And once they get that CNA, if they kept working there, I think they get paid a lot more than that too. So we do our work on the 60 work-based learning hours. Another one we have, for example, another example would be our graphic arts and graphic arts 2. Because that's arts, audio, video, tech, and computer and communications. If students work for the theater or work for our AV department, that would be considered work-based learning hours. So other than that, if students get a job somewhere where they're using the skills in these pathways, those would be considered work-based learning as well. For example, if you look at construction, if they worked at like Home Depot, that would be considered work-based learning for that. Where if you're looking at construction and they got a job as a receptionist, say like at a doctor's office, that would not be considered work-based learning for that pathway. So those are options as well. And we collect that information from the students about their jobs, and therefore we know which students have earned this pathway endorsement, and then they'll get that stamp on their diploma. So our goal is, especially with our incoming freshmen next year, is that all of them somehow pick a pathway to get this endorsement in, and that they will get that. So some other innovative programs that are offered junior year is we have our education pathway, and I'll talk a little about that in a later slide. We have our TMA program. Students will go to Technical Manufacturing Association and earn NIMS credentials. We've had several students that have earned these NIMS credentials. They'll then do an internship, paid internship at QCC, which is right behind their school. And these students are pretty much all then offered full-time jobs if they want them. And these companies are willing to pay for their schooling as well. We talked a little about how Norwich Gardens, how our partnership with them. Another innovative program we have is we have 4 students this year that are juniors that are in our associate's degree program. So instead of going to Ridgewood High School, they take all their classes at Triton College, and they get credit for both high school and the college there. So like they take their math courses and and we talked about they need 3 math credits to graduate high school. Well, if they take them there, it would count. Same thing with their English classes there would count towards the high school graduation requirements, along with the college graduation requirements. So these 4 students are on track that when they graduate high school, they'll also graduate with their associate's degree. And I think it's weird because the college graduation is actually before the high school, so they'll graduate with the associates, then graduate with the high school. It's great. So we have that program. In order to qualify that, the students have to take an active placer, and you have to get a certain score on that active placer, so that way you would meet the requirements to take like the college level English and the college level math. So those are really the 2 scores you look at, is the math and English score on the active placer. If they meet that requirement, then they're eligible and they can participate in the associate's degree program. These other programs that are listed are all cohorts that we have at Triton, which I'll go through individually one by one. So we have a computer information system. And what students will do is Monday through Thursday, they'll go to Triton from 8:30 to 10:30. And they'll take the one class, the SIS 105 Monday and Wednesday, and the SIS 106 Tuesdays and Thursdays. And this is just a semester long that they'll sign up for this. We have a criminal justice. So this will help students if they want. There's many different careers in this, such as law enforcement. Also, if they wanted to get it to become a lawyer, this would be a good one as pathway as well. So for this one, there are 2 classes they'll take, and once again, it's split up between Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday. Our health science, which is our CNA certification, students will take classes, and this will be from 8 to 10 during the week, and you'll see how they get they'll be taking 1 class on one day, another class on another. So once they finish this, they can actually, there's other courses they can take in this pathway, but the goal is for them to take these courses and get that CNA credential. Part of that credential is getting that paid internship at Norwich Garden. And then they continue on there. This is really important for any student that wants to go into a medical field, whether they want to be a doctor or a nurse. Like all nursing programs are almost requiring that students have the CNA before they enter the program. And then another thing is, if they want to be a doctor, it's good to get the CNA credential, and then they can get a part-time job at a hospital as they're going to, to that 4-year anniversary, even beyond. So not only are they getting that the college experience, they're getting that work-based learning experience, and they'll learn a lot more from just even being on the job. So that's why these credentials we talk about are important for 4-year university students as well. We also have a horticulture cohort, and that one once again goes between 8:30 and 10:30 Monday through Thursday. So if you're going to be a junior, they can sign up for the classes. And then we have welding as well, and that's sort of the same. That one's actually Monday through Friday, and that goes 8:30 to 10:20. So that's actually a 5-day a week. And when they finish that one, they actually will have a welding certification. And our last one is actually a 2-day a week, so it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's 8 to 10:55, and that's for our automotive students. So those are our Triton cohorts that students can participate in. And then we also have our education pathway, and that is run through currently Northeastern Illinois University. Students will take those courses at Northeastern. Some of them are online, some of them are in person. The nice thing is by participating in this education pathway cohort, the students took a field trip to Northeastern Illinois, and they found out that they could pretty much go there for free. They have all this grant money and not enough students to use this grant money. So not only will they get their tuition paid for, they also found out that freshmen will get their room and boards paid for it as well. So by participating in some of these programs, you really learn a lot about what's out there and what's available. So we have a few students that after going on a field trip, they're applying and planning on now continuing on at Northeastern Illinois University. Nice thing about this program that we do here at Ridgewood is the students will have already taken some of the required courses for that, and they'll have some of their observations hours for becoming a teacher completed. The Northeastern Illinois will take any hours they do in high school and apply them towards getting their teacher credential. So another part about this is even if they're not going to Northeastern, students that earn that education pathway endorsement on their diploma automatically qualify for scholarships, and some schools are going to give them scholarship money automatically just for having that endorsement. So that's why I talk about how this endorsement is becoming a bigger thing in Illinois, with the Illinois State Board of Ed pushing that. That's one of those perks you'll see for that. For those of you that have freshmen going into sophomores and you're wondering, well, what about driver's ed? Driver's education is only offered in the summer. It runs the second week of June all the way through the end of July. You will get an email, will be sent to all parents. If you're a parent of a freshman, sophomore, junior, it'll be sent to you in April, May with information about how to sign up. Because what they'll need to do is first take the test to get their permit. So then once driver's ed starts in the summer, they have their permit and they're ready to go. So, all right, so we went through a lot of information in a short time. So if you guys have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and we'll go through, because I'm sure there should be quite a few after all of that information. So. All right, so there's one question in the chat that asks, how can should parents be involved in the registration process, or is that for the students to do? I always think that you probably look a little bit further ahead for what's best for the students. So if the parents get involved in the registration process, I think that's good. I think it's good to ask ask them what are their plans and how will the classes they're taking help them in the future. It's good to take classes they enjoy, but sometimes if they get a class that's not going to really be meaningful for them, they're sort of wasting opportunity. Ridgewood has so many classes and opportunities that other schools do not have, that the students really should be taking advantage of that, because it's going to save them time and money later. Is this possible to have this information emailed to us? This video will be put on the school website, and then yeah, I could share. I'll also share a link to this presentation in the chat now, so you'll have it. So let me go and do that. I don't want you guys editing it, but viewers, there we go. All right, so yeah, so you guys all have that. How do they enroll in the cyber after school program? So there are two programs. The cyber program that I put up there, there's courses that they'll sign up for. So they'll actually sign up and take Cyber 1, Cyber 2, Cyber 3 during the day. The work-based learning, I talked about the 60 work-based learning hours. That after school program counts towards work-based learning because we have industry partners. That they can sign up. They can send me an email, or they can talk to their computer science teachers. If they're freshmen, they'll have a computer science teacher. And then when the day it starts, it actually starts after, I think the 17th, the 18th, I think is when it starts. Then they can just show up at 3:15 or up to 3:30. It's 3:15, we're gonna have food for the kids, and then we get started right at 3:30. So, all right. So where can we find the proposed schedule? They know the Skyward schedule. Okay, so it's in Skyward is the courses that they're signed up for. We will not have their actual schedules until later in the year, because it's sort of a long process. So once we figure out what kids sign up for, we put those into the system, and then we figure out what courses they're running. Then we figure out which teachers will teach each course, and then we have to play with the system to create a schedule where students can get as many classes as possible. Like we try to get like 97% accuracy where students get the classes they sign up for. But it's really, where do you put each class? We have to mess around with that quite a bit. So that process takes a while. So we won't have those actual schedules until later, but you can at least see what classes they have chosen to be in. And you can ask, the students will have that on their Skyward. And you, after those dates we talked about for freshman and sophomore, but you can go on and look at them and have them pull that up at any time after, for once again, after the end of this week for gonna be juniors, and then at the end of next week for the gonna be sophomores. So a student takes a Triton, takes a class at Triton College. So sometimes the students will miss, like they maybe signed up for a course at Ridgewood, and then they have to miss that course every once in a while because they're going to Triton to take a cohort, one of those core classes. So our teachers at Ridgewood know that everything needs to be on, so everything has to be on Canvas, so the students have access to all their information. And then also the students can sign up for like flex time office hours with the teachers if they're missing classes while they're at Triton. We also try to arrange the student schedule so they don't miss a lot of class time. So like we know they're going to be gone every like Tuesday and Thursday. We try not to have a class, you know, at that time, but because of our AB schedule, it sort of makes it difficult. So, so sometimes they may miss a class here and there. Same thing with some of our other programs, but we have always had students that had no problem making up the work, because they're also going to have, since they're getting credit for the Triton classes, they're also going to have days where the Triton classes don't meet and they're going to have more free time. So during those free periods, that's what they got to take advantage and make up work maybe they missed when they're doing that. For any classes at Triton College right now, students are responsible for their own transportation. Most of our students drive there. There are a couple students that do take the public transportation. There's a bus that goes there for that. But let's see. So will the counselors talk to the students when picking their classes in regard to extra programs, or are we as parents supposed to let the kids know about the extra programs? You know, we share these extra programs with the students. We have a career rec affair. We have, you know, all this, and we do share it with them. Sometimes students don't always pay attention, believe it or not, when they're in an auditorium with their friends, or, you know, it really is not a priority for them to worry about some of these programs. They may be more worried, well, what class are my friends taking? I want to be with my friends. And that's where I feel it'd be great if the parents did talk to them about these programs, so that they know really how much because you can save so much money. I mean, think about our 4 associate students, you know, graduating with their associate's degree. There's a couple things. First of all, now you're only paying for 2 years of college if you're planning to go for your college. Second is they're no longer competing against their peers to get into colleges, because now they're becoming they're transfer students. So they're only, you know, so it's a whole different group of people they're looking at competing with. So there's a lot of advantages to that. But a student might not be thinking like, oh, I don't about saving that time and money. But that's where I feel like, yeah, parents should actually talk about these programs and how they can benefit them. Can they take the driver's ed at another facility? Yes, they can. I'd say it's about 50-50. Half our students take driver's ed with us in the summer, the other half take it with a private company. You know, and that's, you know, just fine. It's no longer a graduation requirement for them to do that. All right. How many classes per semester should students take? Students should take at least 6 classes per semester. Once again, it's senior year. If they want to take 5, that's their choice. They can take at most 7. So it really depends on what their schedule looks like. If they're taking a bunch of AP classes, probably better to keep it at 6 and have that study hall. But they should be taking at least 6 classes per semester. Okay, notice that Counselor Jellison is particularly only showing mentoring for juniors and seniors. Is okay, still request. Yeah, that'll be changing right now. Those are the students she's meeting with. After, I think next week, once the juniors gonna be juniors registered, then she'll open up for them. And then once those gonna be sophomores are registering, then she'll open up time for those, I believe is why you only see those now. So Because like the opening, juniors already did this, gonna be seniors sort of already signed up for classes, so it's important right now. She's focused on meeting with all them to make sure they meet their graduation requirements and the classes they pick, but then she'll move on to the next classes as they start registering. So, okay. All right, some great questions. I think we're through all of them. I'll give you guys another minute if you have anything else. And I'll stay on longer too if you guys have individual questions. But thank you so much for coming on tonight and learning a little bit more about our programs. And like I say, Ridgewood offers so many opportunities that most schools do not. So please take advantage, and I hope you talk to your students about them. And if you ever have any questions about those programs, you can reach out to me. If you ever want a phone conversation, you can send your students to come talk to me as well. I'm pretty familiar with almost all these special programs we run. So other than that, if you guys have questions, stay on. Otherwise, have a great night.
Thank you so much. Bye.